The age-old act of breaking bread with your fellow man or woman is a binding and meaningful connection that has profound and deep value. A shared brotherhood and sisterhood in all its vulnerability and meaningful cooperation. Our guest has helped bring this concept to the Low Country. Let's welcome Lavanda Brown, Executive Director of the YWCA of Greater Charleston. Good to see you again.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's called Transformation Table, and I'm curious how this is different from family, friends, colleagues who do this on an everyday basis.
I think what makes this different is that one, bringing people together that may not ordinarily, we invite our friends, our families, the folks that we're used to being around. This is an opportunity for people to open their homes or come to a community dinner. And the concept of curating the table to make sure it's diverse and that it represents the global community, particularly that Charleston has, is an opportunity to break bread with someone from a culture that you may not have ever crossed paths with.
And how do you come in contact with these different people? How do you get matched up with everybody?
That is the Transformation Table secret. That is how, when you register for an event, we work together with Tina Singleton, who's the founder of Transformation Table, now with the YWCA and its network of supporters and followers, and then just a general community.
Yeah, and a part of the mission is creating an equitable situation.
Yes. And
also just equality amongst the people who are sitting next to you. So what do those two things look like?
Yeah, so what that looks like, this is a global chef meal. This is, 4 or 5 courses. It is a meal that you would easily go to a restaurant and pay $200 a meal for. The equitable access and the reason for the fundraising is because this is more than just a good meal. We all could go somewhere and just have a good meal with our loved ones. This is an experience to be able to experience not only the global chef and the wonderful culture that food brings to the table, but also the cultures at the individuals, and just being able to view each other's humanity. When you have had an experience with someone from a culture different than yours, it's a lot harder for someone to sell you, false stereotypes when you know that you've experienced someone and you can say, that's not my experience with that community.
Yeah, and we think about getting a bunch of different people together at a table, and like around the holidays, what you shouldn't say, what you should, what things to avoid. Is there anything that's off the table, so to speak, when you come to join in on a transportation
Really,
table?
absolutely not. So we kind of just start with the food, and you start with, the chef explaining the ingredients and the recipe, sort of where it came from. And the interesting thing about humanity is we all eat, right? We have to eat.
Hope so.
We have to eat something. And most of us have some food memory.
Yeah.
And it's often very similar. I know my first dinner I attended as a guest, we listened to the chef, and then we started talking about our grandmother's recipes.
Oh.
And I thought, oh, your grandmother did that too? Or, oh, my grandmother didn't do that, but that's neat. So you just sort of find this kinship with people over food.
Wow.
And then the conversation goes everywhere.
Sure, yeah.
It starts with food, and then it can end in all sorts of places. But there's actually nothing off the table.
I love the idea, though, that you're explaining it's a very organic way to start conversations and just natural. There is no, you got to get to this topic before the dessert comes, we got to hash this out.
Right.
There's none of that.
No.
It's just making new friends in a comfortable setting.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story or interesting story. A woman at the last dinner I was a tamada for, she wanted to bring her husband, but she said, no, I'll go to this dinner and then you go to another dinner, and that way we'll have double the friends.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
That's great. And you said a very interesting word.
Tamada.
What's a tamada?
So a tamada traditionally is like a Toastmaster or a Toastmaker. What we use it for in Transformation Table is just that conversation starter for If there were a lull in the conversation, I promise you I've never had to interject anything.
Yeah.
It just, every time I think I'm gonna start up with an
Sure,
interesting question, then someone just starts talking across the table. So,
That's so
but yeah,
interesting.
we have the Tomadas at the table just to make sure that the conversation can continue to flow.
You know, one of my favorite shows is Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I think it's called A Middle.
Yes.
So if you're the middle, then you get the conversation going. If there's that, I love it. Tamada Middle, it works.
Yes, I love it.
For people who want more information, where should they go to join in?
YWCAGC.org and transformationtable.org.
Beautiful,
Yes.
wonderful. And then you can also donate and
Absolutely.
and all have delicious
Giving
meals together.
Tuesday is going to help us make equitable access to everyone at the table.
Perfect. Giving Tuesday, that's what it's all about. Thank you so much, Lavanda. Great
Thank
to see you
you.
again.
Good to see you.
We're back after this.